I'm a dancer.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today, we are back for the Kingdom finale reactions, episode 10.
Yes, so today was the finale of Kingdom, episode 10, and the final performances from all 6 groups with their newly released songs that came out towards the end of last week. Before we get into those reactions though, a few disclaimers that are a little bit different than usual.
Okay, so first disclaimer. As you can see, we are back together again. Anna just got here a little bit ago. This is still really weird to us. But we just want to let everyone know we are both fully vaccinated. We've both been fully vaccinated for over a month now. And we're still being very careful in terms of social distancing, wearing masks, taking precautions. So this is very safe. Everything is good.
Now for the same disclaimers as usual. You all know about our copyright issues that have been going on. So unfortunately, once again, with these finale performances, we're going to have to jump cut through the performances when we say something interesting. So sorry if a part that you really enjoy gets cut out, but if I show too much, it can probably still get copyrighted and such. So yeah.
Third disclaimer, as always, we just ask that everyone is respectful in our comment section. Please be respectful of the groups. They all worked very hard this entire season. Did you put your hands under? Because we keep doing the same thing. And their staff, they all worked super hard for the entire season. Also, please be respectful to each other in the comments. We know that this week is a little bit different because the winner has been announced for the time this video is over. So there will be some emotions involved with this, but just please be nice. Everyone worked really, really hard.
Next one is, in typical fashion, we watch these performances all the way through without stopping, pausing. It'll look like it because of the jump cuts, but no, we watch it all the way through because these performances are made to be watched in full as if we were a member of a live audience. We also do not watch the episode beforehand. We know that Mnet live streamed it on their YouTube channel, but we did not watch that. I was on the train on the way to Peyton's house. So we don't know the backstories or anything like that. The performances should speak for themselves. That being said though, we did listen to the songs beforehand when they were released about a week ago. We only listened to them once or twice so that there could still be somewhat of a reaction, kind of listening for the third time, but the performances are completely new.
And as always, we'll be watching in episode order. Instead of timestamps down below, there will be chapters on the video in the scroll bar. So with that being said, let's go! So the first group that performed this week was ATEEZ, and they performed their new song, Mud, The Real.
We also saw the notice from KQ Entertainment that the song was recorded before Kingdom even started, so Mingi's voice is on the recording, but he's not going to be in this performance. Yeah.
But that being said, let's go! Why are they beating him up?
Oh, they're beating him up? I
Yeah.
thought they were just pushing each other around for fun.
No, it looked like they were kicking someone.
대전이야!
It's the leaders!
That makes sense because the arm thing is with the school class president, right? Tani.
Oh,
Wow.
See, they're beating someone up!
Sorry, I didn't know.
Oh,
Wow.
역시 leader.
Oh,
His hair!
Of course he has the...
The megaphone.
Yes, thank you. When I heard the song for the first time.
Oh, I love the satsuri.
When I heard it for the first time, I was like, oh, this is really fun. What is that? It's just a stick. Ah!
It's like a pointer.
Oh.
No.
I hate bucket.
I knew.
Sorry.
The way trouble sweeping.
Ah.
Oh.
You're so funny.
여상 center.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, they're roar, growl sounds.
Oh, that's cool. Now it's in the back of their heads.
Oh, whoa, that's so cool. How it switched.
Oh, it's their lyrics on the back.
Ah,
I saw also Kaja.
Me too. The different mics.
They have all their colors. Yeah.
I think so. It's the
hermit. Yeah.
Oh, they're just having so much fun. I mean, it still goes really hard, but
They're having such a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. What are all the...
What? What's gonna come out of them? Oh, one's already broken.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Kingdom group!
Wait, but what does it say?
The kids!
Ah.
Is it the same
Same
girls
kids from the
I think so.
Immortal Songs performance?
but 5 this time?
It's literally just a big party.
Ah!
달콤. Oh!
Yes!
Oh,
She's
water
on herself. Tay-Bros!
Bruh.
Oh.
이런 게 바로 멋입니다. Oh my god.
Oh my god! Okay, so first, obviously, I really enjoyed this, if you couldn't tell from our reactions, where we were like, oh! So just going in order of my thoughts as I was noting them down. So first, I really loved how they were all dressed differently. It like really showed their personalities. It was like what they think is cool and like what they think makes them look cool, but then, why are you laughing?
Was in a leather jacket. That's so typical.
Right.
And Sunny's in a suit.
Yeah.
So typical. Okay, sorry.
Okay, anyways. But yeah, so like obviously it's them showing how they look cool, but also the armband that's like noting them as like leaders. Like you were saying during the reaction, oh, it's like the class leader. So it's like they're literally saying like, yeah, we're cool and like follow our lead. And then obviously they start with the leaders, which was just so powerful. Like that whole walking sequence at the beginning, they came in a couple at a time, and so it was adding layers. And then it's like they're right up in the camera, so it really feels like they're coming at you. Like I think you said, it's a little overwhelming. Also, I really liked all of the references to other, like, ATEEZ things. Like, obviously the lyrics on the wall. I also noticed that Sunny did the Say My Name walk with the broom away, which was really cute. Or the kids coming out like they had on Immortal Songs recently. Oh wait, one more. The apple at the end. That's so ATEEZ! And it's like the ending fairy from Noria Promotions when Tomo did it for his ending fairy. Something else I thought was really interesting was the color scheme throughout it really reminded me of their Zero the Fever album covers and how there's like the different ones that they have. Especially like the masks that the dancers were wearing, and then when they stood up during that scene, the chairs too were like that exact sort of ombre down. I was like, this is so interesting. And I found that interesting because then in the dance too, there were elements of it that reminded me of Thanks, like that choreography. Yeah, we talked about this, but it's like more like a party. I don't know, it's like more hype. But other than that, the dance itself, it was sort of exactly what I was expecting. Not the concept necessarily, because I couldn't have predicted the concept, although I do get it because it's like, welcome to my class, and then it's like in a school, so it's sort of like a play on words, which I thought was really cute, really ingenious. But I was just expecting it to go really hard, and then the ending of it to be like a party, and that was really what it felt like. I think my favorite part about the dance was that they had all of these little details that really heightened the musicality. Like I know during the dance break when Yuno is in the center, he does all of these like super small tight isolations, and it's like on all of the beats in the song, and it's just so nice. Or there's like another one when Yeosang comes to the center and he like does his little shimmy, and it's so perfectly timed with the music. On that note, one of the other things that I really enjoyed about the way that this stage was crafted, and something that I think ATEEZ does well consistently, is they highlight each member. Like everyone had either a center time in a choreography or a featured part in the stage, like the story they were telling. And I say they do it well because it can be really hard to highlight 7 people or 8 people if there is a full group, because it can really break the flow of the story because you don't have 1 or 2 people to consistently follow throughout like a main character. But they do it very seamlessly because they aren't trying to make everyone like a main character in the story. It's just that everyone has their featured part that fits with whatever their role is. So I really enjoy that, and it makes the stage a lot more fun. Second to last thing, the inclusion of the other groups was so meaningful, like the banners and then how they went up and danced. I was just like, this is such a party, and they're really saying that like more than competition, like they're just having a good time and they're enjoying being with the other groups, and I really loved that. And then my last comment is just, wow, I really love Satsuri. Which was my first thought when I heard the song the first time. Anna's turn.
So, first thing that I had written down for my comments was, like you also said, like we were saying the whole time, they're just having such a great time. Like they're having so much fun. A lot of our notes overlap because the next thing that I wrote down was also like the beginning start with the leaders, and then the transition into the new song was wow, and like really cool the way that it was like acted out, but then like the transition was sort of like a wind down, but then like the beat start for Mok. You were talking about the different like ATEEZ specific references in here. One that you didn't mention is they haven't said this in a while. At the beginning of the song, they said ATEEZ present, and they haven't said that in a title track in a while. right?
They haven't said it TED Talk in a while, but also it's like taking attendance at school.
Oh my gosh, you're right. It's like taking attendance. Ah! You also were talking about like the different quotes that they had on the wall of the classroom. So above each one, it says kupun. And then like also when the three faces were sticking out on the top two, it also said kupun. So what that means in Korean is like lesson. I forget what the first one says with like the three faces. One of them was 겸손, which is like humbleness. That's what they've been saying throughout the lyrics of the song the entire time. But also like the lyrics that are on the wall aren't just like random lyrics, they're like lyrics that can be used as like life lessons. So like important quotes, you know? Like just think of like an English classroom in school and like all the quotes from like famous authors on the wall. That's what I was thinking of. I'm gonna continue elaborating on comments that you said. So also the banner section, when they like mention all the other groups, what it says is like kingdoms 욕봤대, which is like a Saturi way of saying 욕봤다. 욕봤다 means like you worked hard, like 수고했어, basically. So it's like everyone on Kingdom, you worked really hard. And then the second one was like 오늘 저녁 소고기 or something like that. So they're just like, let's have beef for dinner, like meat for dinner. So it's like they want to have a 회식 with everyone because friendship. Wow. Anyways, okay, now to just like talk about the song for a little bit. When I also first heard it too, I was like, wow, this is like really hype, really fun. That brings me to how they changed the arrangement for this performance. One thing was the inclusion of the leaders at the beginning for specifically the performance. Also, how instead of doing Mingi's rap part, they actually included the dance break there instead. Which like if I want to be an emotional like 18-y Mingi stan, it's like, oh, they didn't want to like do the complete song for the first time without him. Another way is just like that dance break inclusion really like changes it to a performance arrangement. Like obviously they do a lot of dancing, but like without having to focus on the singing at that point, I think it makes a difference in the stage. Another thing about the song is that the beat does not let up at all, ever. The only time it does is like those little pockets of silence like before a drop and they like say the line in Saturi. But you were comparing it to Thanks. I also was thinking about it as Thanks. Just the song itself, I didn't know about the dance or like the color scheme and the props and everything. But when I first heard it, I was like, it feels like a continuation of Thanks, just more hype and playful and less intimidating, I guess. Alright, that's all I have to say. I also really enjoyed this.
Next!
Okay, so second to perform for the finale was Stray Kids with their new song, Wolfgang. Little tidbit, when I first saw the song title without listening to it, I was like, oh, do they mean Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart? Or do they mean Wolfgang like a pack of like wolves? I mean, their opening performance was them as wolves, so I was like, either would make sense, but I am now aware that they meant a pack of wolves. So, alright, let's go! Is it
Maybe
Mozart? Okay.
Oh, but that's really cool because the keys looked like buildings.
It is! Oh my god!
But this is just for the stage then, because this isn't in the actual song.
What is this song? Oh my god, wait, I know this one. Oh, but it's like stained with blood. And it's becoming more twisted.
It's also scratched, like the...
Ah.
Whoa! That's cool.
Looks like a bat.
Oh, it's like the climbing.
Ah. Yeah, and like the frantic strings in the background. And also a lot of howling.
Oh, they brought the green lights back from their opening performance.
Ah. This stage must be so hot. Wow.
Wow! It left marks when we scratched. That's cool.
Ah. There's something hanging, connecting. Oh, it's connecting them.
Oh.
This looks
Trampoline!
Oh, I like. It looks like an obstacle course, kind of.
Oh, it's
Oh, wait, what?
Oh! Is it like werewolf? Like you have to be chained up? Oh! Oh, they're all getting fur on. Oh.
Oh, cause in the last, it's full moon now. Fire? Oh! There's
was cool.
so much like tossing than jumping.
Yeah.
Like they're pouncing or something.
It's so intense.
Oh, it has a tail on it. I hadn't noticed that earlier.
Oh,
that's really cool. Oh.
and they've got their crown in the
Yeah. Wow.
Let's just jump right in. Let's talk about the dance first. So a lot of the moves obviously are very wolf-like. Big surprise. But like, here's the thing, especially in the K-pop industry, there's very famous wolf dances and like wolf choreography. And so there are certain moves that you come to expect, especially from Stray Kids who've done other wolf dances on the show. You can tell they're trying to make it sort of like a continual story, so you need to make it cohesive. Yeah. But certain things, like the crouched walking, it's sort of like back leg, front leg follows, which is weird because that's not how a wolf would actually walk, but for some reason it works really well on stage. The claws, obviously, like a lot of claw hands, and then even the hand thing that they did back with their head, that wasn't something where I was like, oh, I've seen that before, but I was like, yes, this like makes it feel very cohesive. It makes it feel very animalistic, which is what they're going for. But speaking of being aggressive, this dance is so aggressive, which makes sense. The moves themselves are aggressive. Like there's a lot of martial arts moves in them. Like Felix especially does a lot of kicking, the jump kicks as well. But I don't just mean the moves, it's also the way that it's shot, because a lot of what they're doing when they get aggressive and start doing the claws, they get sort of like up into the camera, and so it feels like they're sort of looming over you, which makes it feel very like there's a wolf coming to attack you, almost like you've been knocked down or trying to like escape from it. But also I did want to talk just a little bit more about the staging itself, because there are a couple of things that I found very interesting. So one was the use of height and the use of levels, and they did that in a couple of different ways. So there was human pyramids where they would be like climbing on to each other, like multiple levels. Like there was Felix when he went up to the top and was howling at the moon. There was a lot of jumping in this, a lot of jumping over people. There was a lot of tossing. Using the height and using the different levels is especially effective in a stage like this because the ceiling is so high that you really can toss, and it makes them look like they're going really high too because it's dark above them, and so you can't really tell like how far up they are, so it's an even better effect. But also the props, like the way that they had used the props both for levels and then also for that storyline, they'd done it really well, because the way that it's staged and the way they brought the props in and the way that they've moved them around during the stage, it's sort of meant to confuse you and overwhelm you, almost like you're in the forest and you're like running from a wolf or something. Because I know there were times where I was like, where did that come from? Like, where are they oriented on stage? Like, even knowing the layout of the stage, I couldn't track where it was, but it was purposefully done like that because they were sort of keeping it very dark, and then something would pop up, like the trampolines especially. I was like, where did that come from? It was a very good effect. Two really specific things I wanted to point out. Tan hanging upside down at the very beginning was really interesting. It immediately made me think of the God's Menu like side effects stage that they did in round 1. But I thought it was super interesting too because in that stage he had been standing above, but now he's hanging below, and I was like, oh wow, big brain. And then also Samini, wow, I really liked when he was crawling on the trellis during his part, like the top, because the way he was crawling was very like animalistic, of course. It looked like he was using like a dance technique where you're very much like picking points, and so you make it more interesting because he's not just going side to side, he's sort of like coming on an angle, coming back. So I really liked that. Last comment, I liked Tan as leader, obviously like Wolfgang, it's his emoji, it's his representative animal, we all know this. But then at the end, when he's the last one to go into the cave, I really liked that because like in a wolf pack, the alpha is always at the back, like watching, making sure everyone else is okay. And then that reminded me of how Chan always likes to stand behind his members to like keep his eyes on them. And so that made me sort of like emotional stay. Anna's turn.
Hello! So, time for my comments. First thing I would like to say is, the thing that I said before we watched the performance about it being Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and then I was like, nah, it's just like a pack of wolves. And then the performance started, and it literally says, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. I kid you not, we did not know beforehand. No. I am proud of myself. Give me a high five, please. Thank you.
That was so bad.
Okay. Now that we know that, to talk about a few like connections between Skiz, Stray Kids' Wolfgang, and then the Mozart song. It's Fantasia in D minor. Wolfgang, the song by Stray Kids, is also in D minor. And I haven't talked about it in a while actually on this channel, but I've mentioned before how keys in music, like different keys can be associated with like different moods, feelings, emotions. A basic one is major versus minor. Minor is always going to feel a little bit more like creepy, like not as happy emotions, and major is always going to feel a little bit brighter, like more positive emotions. But D minor specifically is sort of like depressing, dark, very heavy. The stage you can see is very heavy, also from the colors as well. And if you look at the lyrics, a lot of it is like, I've been struggling so much, like I can't take it, and then like it gets better when they're all in the pack together. Also talking about more connections between the two. So Fantasia itself, like the definition of that word, it has a few meanings. One of them is a musical composition with free form and often an improv style. And then another one is composed of like different forms and styles, or like using familiar tunes. And the one that I really focused on for this performance was how it's composed of different forms and styles. Listening to this song for the first time, I mentioned in the reaction, like one thing that stuck out to me was like, wow, they're using a lot of classical instruments in this. That's interesting. Because like while it hasn't been uncommon throughout Kingdom for the different performances to like sample a classical music piece or use more classical instruments like strings, but then there are also moments like I think in the pre-chorus where electric guitar line would come in, and like those sections felt very like rock ballad-esque to me. So it's like a combination of all these different styles, and then also you have like the very heavy beat that is typical of like the Stray Kids title track style as well, with the deep bass and a sort of like trap beat over it as well. So yeah, I just thought those connections were really cool. I'm sure other people figured it out too, but this is my first time watching it. So like a few of those classical instruments, I mentioned the strings, and like in the reaction I said really frantic strings, and in the performance the frantic strings, like it's building intensity because like it's constantly moving, and it's also like building this sense of suspense because it's like what's going to happen. That's like present in the storyline of the performance as well. You also like hear organ at one point, like the song ends with organ, and then obviously for a song where they are wolves, there's a lot of like howling, growling, sort of like whoos in it in the background. Last sort of little thing, you mentioned chains, and like they are being chained up in the performance. It was more difficult to hear in the live stage, but I listened to the like record itself, like the song itself release, and that you hear like little chain sound effects in the song as well. So it was just a really cool like continuity. And that's all I had to say. Yeah. Yes!
Alright, so for the next performance, we'll be watching The Boys, and they are performing their new song, Kingdom Come. Let's see what they do. Moon Cycles.
Ah. Oh, are they just going through all their performances then?
What is it, like a VCR?
It looks like a VCR.
Yeah, this is not live.
It's not.
Oh!
Oh, they still found a way to incorporate him. Oh, they're wearing their different performance outfits, all of them. Does it disappear?
Grab it!
Is that a sword?
I think it's just crystal or something. Oh, he's still on it! That makes me happy. That was Hinge.
Is that a skirt?
These outfits are so I'm in love with these.
Oh, what is that?
Sangyeon.
Oh, oh! I really like that melody when I first heard it.
It gets in your head really easily.
Awesome. Oh, it's just my stand. Oh!
What? They're back to the VCR?
Wait, what?
What's happening?
What in the world? Huh? And now they're back to the live stage,
Cute,
but still.
That was a really nice transition though.
To the,
yeah.
Whoa, but
Ooh!
still. Oh.
Nice.
Oh, this is a great moment.
A cute center. I really like this dance break.
Oh. Is it water?
Back to the VCR?
Yeah.
Oh,
there's
it's
water
raining.
coming down.
Yeah. I'm having like no air music video.
Right? That's what I was
flashbacks.
thinking too.
Oh. Tiny's getting so many parts in this.
I know.
This is really cool because it's like at the gate.
Yeah. Oh, that part when I first heard it going up the scale. Not gonna lie, I thought they were gonna do a modulation after the start when they did it.
Oh, why did you show that from the
It would've been
top?
cool, like from the front.
Or even the side. That was really nice though.
Oh, and the crown is on the
That's
They still did anything. Wow. Why did they show it?
like, why are you looking it up? But always back to Hyunjae at the end.
Wait, there's this the only clip that's showing the other group's reactions after.
I'm confused. So let's just jump right in. Let's start with the use of the VCR. Leave it to the boys to bring a new dimension to the performance, even though it's the finale. But like, I really honestly enjoyed that. It was very interesting. It sort of made me think of like in English class when you learn about unreliable narrators, because the transitions back and forth were so smooth that there were moments where I was like, wait, are we in the VCR still or are we back in the live performance? And I think that that's the tell that the transitions were done super well. Like, I'm thinking specifically of the one where Q gets shot by the arrow and I was like, wait, this is the real performance. So that was done super well. I also want to say really quick, I'm very proud of myself because the very, very beginning of the stage, when it comes to the live stage and Younghoon is standing there, when I was rewatching it, I was like, Anna, is that the Iron Throne? Which neither of us really know Game of Thrones, so I don't know why I asked her. But I looked it up and the Iron Throne is behind him. And I was like, oh, I'm so proud of myself for recognizing like the most iconic Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I don't know why you asked me. I know even less about Game of Thrones than you do. At least you've seen like one episode before. I have seen nothing.
But I thought that was really cool because it's still keeping that whole theme. But let's talk about dance because I have a lot of things to say and not a lot of time. Let's talk about their lines first. There were so many pretty lines in this. And as you all probably know, my background is in a lot of different styles, but primarily in ballet. Ballet is all about lines and like extending the line and making it pretty and extending the line out past even like where your hand or your foot ends. And there were just so many nice lines in this. It was so nice for my heart. Like right from the very beginning, I said during the reaction, I was like, oh, that was so pretty. And it was during Jion's part when they all go like this. You can like see their hands are like sending the energy out. Other lines that were a little bit more like sharp, but they were still there. There were a lot of hinges in this. Like they do it right at the beginning on their knees where they hinge backwards and their bodies are in a straight line. Core strength, quad strength, but also if you want to know, like they're all doing it really well, but if you want to see like a fantastic like textbook hinge backwards, just look at Q. Like his is so nice. But they do that a lot. Like there's also the line where Channy's upside down and it's like sending energy out both ways, which is just a great picture anyway. But another really, really pretty one that's less like sharp and more like flowy, sort of like the arms at the beginning, is the beginning of the chorus. And it's such a nice intro into the chorus because they like draw their arm and their leg across the front and their feet aren't like perfectly pointed, but they're like kind of pointed and like leading towards the ground. So I was like, I'll take it!
They're halfway there.
They're halfway there, I'll take it! But it's a really nice start to the chorus because they're sort of like sweeping you in and like drawing you into their performance. There are just so many pretty lines, so I'll stop there. And let's talk about the dance break a little bit more because wow, I loved the dance break. I loved how Q was controlling it, like in very subtle ways too, because there were the bigger ones where he'd like pull, but even right at the very beginning, he like clenched his hand and then put his hand, like his fingers out, and it directed the sides and then he closed it and they came back together and I was like, oh, the details. I also really like the texture there because everything's like very tight and it's very controlled. Then there's this really nice moment of release right at the very end where they all sort of lean back and you see Q like tilt his head back and it's like a moment. And that sort of feeling of like the tightness with those little suspension moments happened throughout the dance, and so it really like kept you engaged and sort of like on the edge of your seat as you were breathing with the performance. So I really enjoyed that and I talked for a really long time. So Anna's turn!
Talking about my initial thoughts after listening to this for like the first or second time, so before we watched this performance, Peyton also thought this too. We were getting vibes that were very similar to Checkmate, which if people did not watch Road to Kingdom, Checkmate was the boys' finale song for Road to Kingdom. And I was thinking about why. It's probably like the sort of refined feeling and like intensity of it. Obviously they use the strings, but like the boys use the strings in like a lot of most of their performances, all of their performances. And also the singing style, the verses are more sort of sentimental. And then also I realized the chorus melodies, they aren't like the same melody. Obviously they're not the same, but the rhythm is kind of similar. This one is like da 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 da, whereas Checkmate was like Da, 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 da. Kind of talking about the strings. One thing that I thought was interesting is like not only in this stage but like the boys' performances as well when they use strings is yes, it is like used for pitches, like it has pitch and it has more melodic lines like the sustained moments like the bridge, but also there are a lot of moments where it's just used in a very percussive manner. Another note that I wrote, I was also very intrigued by the switching between the live stage and VCR back and forth. And then obviously the reason why this performance length is longer than the song itself is because the intro inclusion VCR and then the inclusion of a dance break. The music for the dance break obviously is much more like dubsteppy, which is kind of jarring because it's so different from the more sort of classical feeling that you've been getting from the rest of the song, but then the transition back into the classical feeling that happens when the Trion dance moment starts. It's like slowly bringing back strings and then like the intense beats from the dance break are like slowly going away. Other section of the song that I wanted to talk about was the bridge for the Sangyeon moment, high note moment. Yes, I did say during the slide, after the slide I expected there to be a modulation up because that's like stereotypically in moments like that there would be a key change after slide up. Leading up into that, when I was like, oh, he's just going up the scale, that was kind of jarring to me because like it's not uncommon to go up a scale, but the key of the song is in minor, which like you've been getting that feeling sort of edgier, like off-putting feeling the whole time. He's going up a major scale though. At first I was like, wait, what? Did I hear that right? After I listened to it the first time, I was like, oh, did my mind just come up with a different pitch instead? So I was like, oh, that's interesting because it's different from everything else that you've been hearing. The last little thing that I wanted to say was how I mentioned the chorus is really catchy, the melody of it, and it gets stuck in your ear easily. That's because the interval, da, da, what is 1, so the do of the scale, to 5, which is sol, do, re, mi, fa, sol of the scale, which is an interval like a leap that is very recognizable to the ears. Did you see my note? Just to show how easily recognizable it is, one common song in pop culture that includes that interval is the beginning of the Star Wars theme. So it's like the da, 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 da. Yeah, da, 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 yeah. 1 to 5. So it gets stuck in your head really easily because everyone knows it basically. So yeah. But yeah, that's all I had to say. Next! Okay, so the fourth performance we're watching is B2B and they did their new song called Pinale, Show and Prove. So let's go! It felt very musical when I first heard the song.
It is. It's like a theater performance.
Yeah. And the lights are down. Lights go down. What did that voice say?
So epic. Spotlight.
The voiceover, he always does these like introduction things.
Oh, we will.
The flags.
It's very marching band, like the flags.
Oh yeah,
Color
yeah,
guard.
yeah. Color guard.
Yeah.
Yes. They never sing this low. Oh,
And then you can
now. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, they're all wearing colored contacts,
I
but
think
like
that
very
one's blue.
vibrant colors.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The eyes are really like throwing me off.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And like the wow.
And I knew he was gonna be at a mic stand.
Yeah, and the flourish of strings.
And everyone turns around. Yeah. Wow.
And scene change and the music style change. Yeah.
Dance style change.
I was thinking of that move. Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
You are gonna miss out.
Oh.
See, this is a great aerial shot.
Because they're turning him too, so there's still
Yeah.
movement that way. There was a little
Lanes. Kind of reminded me of IFCC.
Is it?
Maybe?
Yuck.
Yeah.
The back.
Look at that.
Aww. He took out his contacts. How did he do that so quickly in the performance?
You just pull them out.
I know, but like in the middle of the performance.
It's like tangled in the background.
What? Oh, the lantern's going
Oh
on.
my god.
Oh, wait, what does he say? I was saying it felt very like choir
And then
when I first heard it. Yeah.
it's almost like a senior show, like a senior song.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh!
Oh,
he
the
has
confetti!
all over him.
it's a little
Yeah.
offbeat. The vibes for this whole stage and performance are immaculate. It's so feel good and it just gives such a warmth off, and they really convey that, especially as the song goes on and it's getting more and more uplifting, and it's like conveyed through their eyes, especially once Minhyuk picks out his contacts, and I think Peniel is the only one that has them left in at the end. You can really see that like love and warmth that they have for their fans and for the people that have been supporting them, and it's just really sweet. But yeah, like I said towards the end in the reaction, if it stayed in, it really does, now that I think about it, give me the feeling of like a senior showcase performance. In case you're not familiar with it, in most performing arts, every spring for college or for high school, whatever it is, there's some sort of senior stage, and it's supposed to like give them a chance to really show off how they've grown and how they've grown together, and like there's always some sort of like, we're ready to take on the world now as we like part our ways or as we go forward. And that's exactly what this felt like. Not necessarily the part our ways part.
Yeah.
Don't misunderstand. But like they're leaving Kingdom, so they are parting from this phase. And just the composition of like the song and the story that comes from the song, because it does sort of show like the difficult times that came through it with like the sort of darker parts, and then it has the uplifting choruses and the uplifting end, but there's also like the part right before that last big uplifting chorus where Minhyuk gets the spotlight, and it's like a little bit contemplative and a little bit sentimental as you're like thinking back on what you're leaving. But performance-wise, I'm a little proud of myself because I knew they were going to use stand mics, and not just because it's B2B, but just because of the song. Like when I hear songs, as soon as I start hearing them, my mind immediately starts imagining like, what stage will this be? Which is sort of why it was dangerous for me to listen to these songs in advance, because I was like, I have all these expectations.
Like what happened with Road to Kingdom.
The first thing I imagined for this was like, there's gonna be stand mics and they're gonna be like in the center of all of this dancing around them. And that's exactly what happened. Even though there's a lot of movement on stage, the fact they're stationary draws a lot of attention to them. And that's very like on par for the message they're conveying. But something else that was very like on track for this sort of like vibe and also for what I was expecting was there was a lot of swaying and a lot of just like upwards movement, and not just the swaying at the ends and like the raised arms, because yes, that is like very on par with this message, but also other parts of the dance were oriented that way, even if it wasn't overt. Like I'm thinking about the first chorus when Changsub is singing and all the dancers are around him and they're doing a lot of circular movements, but it's like high release arches and like hands facing up instead of like inwards or down. So it's just very like open imagery. Also, something else about the dance that I thought was really interesting was it's very strong, but it's sort of whimsical is the word that was coming to mind, like uplifting. And it's not strong, it's like intense hard, but it's more of like confidence, like the way they hold themselves, and there's power to it, but they're not having to like put it right in your face, is very on brand for an idol group that's been around for 10 years and like is very talented and knows that they're very talented. But also like the color guard part at the beginning was a really good example of that sort of mix of styles, because the way they were moving the flag had a lot of power behind it, but then the flag itself trails out, and so it's like a good mix. But yeah, I really loved this, obviously. And it's third!
Like I said in the reaction when I first heard the song, I was like, oh, it feels like really musical.
Mhm.
And based on the intro that they gave in the beginning, with like the voiceover where it's like the show's about to start and then the lights go down and then all of a sudden the lights come up for the show to start. Yeah, very like theater. But another thing I had been thinking when I first heard the song, this feels very Greatest Showman, like the greatest show, like this is the greatest show. Not just because that there's the word show in there, but like sort of the structure of it, like towards the beginning it kind of starts with like really deep Changsub's voice singing. That's the only thing that there is really basically besides these heavy beats, which is kind of like Hugh Jackman, like at the beginning. Speaking of Hugh Jackman, and it's like kind of dark too, the lights are dark and you're only focused on him. And then by the end of the song, it's like really bright and sort of uplifting. It feels like it opens up, like the doors opening up for everyone's part. And like the song itself is a very uplifting message as well. Like it's building you up to be more confident in yourself. As transition, a small throwaway comment, the colored contacts. I realized that the color now is the BTS fan color. Talking a little bit more about the structure of the song, there's obviously like the really sort of dark, heavy sections contrasted with like the brighter sections, like the chorus basically in the ending. The verses are where the rapping is happening, and like rapping is really like the storytelling, so they're kind of talking about like the hardships and like kind of the prejudice that they've had to overcome as well. So that is like heavier, deeper, darker. Also, it's in E minor. E minor is like a depressing key too. Then the choruses are brighter, happier. The key changes to, I believe, G major, major key, brighter. Final chorus. Obviously, there's like the contemplative Minhyuk moment. And then like they open up to like this big flourish of everything happening. They have the like choral choir. It felt like church choir singers at the end. Instead of ending on the chorus, they end in like an outro moment. Especially the Peniel voiceover thing. This is kind of like really niche. So sorry about that. But it just kept reminding me of like, for those of y'all who have been to like church during like offering time or like during a sermon and there's like music playing in the background, it felt like the pastor or like whoever is speaking that day speaking over it like a message. So anyways, moving on. And then obviously like for the vibe of this song, you hear a lot of piano, you hear a lot of strings, and I really like how they use the strings because they do have like the more percussive moments like the do 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 do, but then they also have the flourishes, and they use these like sequences in almost every single like transition moment between like the chorus or verse, between those sections. Last thing I was gonna say though was the very ending of the song. How they ended it, instead of just like a sort of fade out, it's fade out and then you hear a microphone feedback noise. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But then I'm thinking about the context of the story, like the performance, where it's like, oh, the show is over now. Like the show that they're putting on for this performance, like, oh, Kingdom is over now. So maybe it's that. I really like this. This also was like everything I had expected and hoped for though after hearing the song. Next!
Alright, so for the fifth performance today, we will be watching iKON performing their new song that they released, which was called At Ease, or 열중시여.
열중시여.
I hate that.
열중시여.
I can't make that. Anyway, yeah, let's just go! Back to using red. Oh, they've got their fan lights.
Chains. Aww!
Oh my gosh. I can't help it when Bobby's rapping.
No, I get it. There's
Wow.
all these cages
Is
though. Are they in prison?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they're red instead of orange.
Aw.
Like their color is red, so that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, I love dancing with like fences, cages. It's so cool. Oh, because he's at the police station. Is he getting booked?
Oh, maybe?
It is sort of militaristic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and those arms, yeah.
Push up ball.
Typical iKON horn usage.
Aw.
He literally held the camera.
Oh my gosh, Bobby's such a good performer.
Oh! Oh!
Are they referencing? I'll put.
Okay, yeah. Wow.
I love that like the hits on the beat.
Oh, someone left one behind.
It's okay, they're just like pushed this way.
Aw. They're so like, do you want to fight?
Yeah.
I'm ready to fight. Oh, army crawl? Yeah.
Here we
and
go!
And the big party at the end.
Right up in the camera.
Wow! Literally.
I love how they're playing with the camera. Oh, they put us in jail.
It. Oh! Oh!
Oh, camera filter.
Yeah.
Only red.
That's cool.
The cameraman's
Oh,
still
no, they just left
Alright, so we're just gonna jump right into comments. So obviously this is very militaristic, and I'm actually kind of upset because right before we started filming the reaction and I was looking at the title, I was telling Anna, oh, I wonder if it's gonna be like about the military because At Ease, like At Ease soldier. But obviously it tracks like the whole concept because of At Ease, or at least the style of dancing tracks because of At Ease. And it's really obvious, like there's a lot of very sharp movements, a lot of very militaristic movements, like this whole, I'm not gonna hit you.
I know, but
This
she's
whole
coming
thing or they literally go to the Addie's position. They are saluting at one point. But really, like, more than just the militaristic moves, it was the way that they had made them into dance moves that I really liked. Because one really good example was actually when they do the at ease move, which is where they step to second, they put their legs apart and put their hands behind their back, but they do it as they turn around, so their back is showing to the audience, and then they do like a chest circle on the beat. First of all, like, the picture that they're showing, because it's their back and because of the way their clothes are fitted, like, it really shows that isolation really nicely in a way that you wouldn't be able to see it from the front. But also, it's just like those little changes that make it into a dance that make it very, like, exciting for me as a dancer. The chorus especially was a lot tighter and it was more militaristic, whereas a lot of the verse choreography was very much that, like, actually, like, at ease, like, sort of swaggy feeling. But it was interesting because even in the parts that were more stiff, they were still being kind of sassy. Like, I'm thinking about Timon when he, that too, but I was thinking about Timon when he, like, salutes and he's like, yes, sir. And the look that he gave the camera was like, like, sure, I'll do that. But there's just a lot of, like, bluffing. There's a lot of hase. And, like, it's very typical of iKON to have that sort of, like, yeah, like, look at us, we're so cool. It goes with their whole image and, like, the style of songs that they usually do. But coupled with this concept, it feels not antagonistic, but a little bit antagonistic. It's like you're goading someone into a fight. And I really enjoyed that. Like, it was really fun to watch. But also, something that I thought of at one point during the reaction was when they had the SWAT out, like the riot shields out. And because they've been referencing a lot of YG family stuff during the whole season, I was like, are they referencing Fantastic Baby now? Is that where we're at? Like, one of the most iconic, like, YG family songs. So I don't know, that's just a passing comment, but that was where my head was. But one thing I really liked was how they played with the camera, because it's not uncommon for idols to, like, look like they're moving the camera or sort of, like, twist it or something. But they were physically, like, grabbing it and holding it and pushing it, and that is a lot rougher. It really adds to this sort of, like, vibe that they're going for, and the fact that they really are sort of looking for a fight during the stage. And I also really liked how at the very end they pushed the camera into the cage. I was like, ooh, the tea. But yeah, overall, like, this is very iKON, and we've really consistently said that through Kingdom, like, oh, this is so iKON. And I think it's just because they have a very unique sound and they know their style and they know that it works for them and they know how to make it work for them. It's just always a party and it's always so fun, and I really enjoyed it. Of course I enjoyed it. So, Anna's turn.
First thing I want to say is I literally just rewatching it by myself registered what Bobby says in the beginning. He's like, "성민호 고마워," and I had not, like, that completely went over my head when we were watching it together. 성민호 helped write and compose this song, and he's honestly helped them through, like, a lot of their Kingdom arrangements for the performances. Moving on from that, I kind of said it in the reaction, but, like, in typical iKON fashion, the song had a lot of really punchy horns in the chorus. Okay, so, like, Bling Bling has been stuck in my head for, like, the past week, and I'm just thinking about, like, the beginning of Bling Bling, and I was like, wow, that's so, like, the punchy horns, and that's present in this too, like, for the chorus. But then also, like, they have the trap beat, sort of like those drill snares on top. Also, kind of talking about the chorus though, you were focusing on At Ease because, like, that's the title of the song, but the thing that they say right before that is 차렷, which is, like, attention. So it's like attention and then At Ease. To go back and talk about the verses a little bit, you were talking about how, like, the verses were more, like, a little bit more at ease and, like, not loose, but, like, I guess more playful.
Yeah.
And it is more rhythmic during that part. Like, they don't have a percussion line outlining every single beat. And also there was one line that I found really interesting. This sort of, like, higher pitched synth line that kind of sounds like a really, really, really distorted flute, but it's, like, moving around a lot and it brings a really different vibe to the song. And then, like, starting in the pre-chorus, like, the build-up, there's something outlining not, like, every 1, 2, 3, 4, but kind of, like, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I think. And then in the chorus, it's on every single beat. So, like, the outlining every beat is kind of more, like, marchy, I guess, like, uniform, military concept. But also, like, having it on every single beat makes it more easy to, like, bounce your head to, because you can feel that beat back and forth, like, up, down, or no, like, up, down, up, like that. And, like, that's what people do in iKON songs. You just bob, like, everyone is vibing to the party. It really does feel like a party. Like, one of my notes is literally just, wow, they're such great performers.
Yeah.
And then the last thing was like that ending section. We talk about how YG songs always have that like group dance party moment at the ends. And you were saying the verses felt sort of at ease. I was like, nah, the like ending section is really just them going all out at ease, like very loose, sort of rebelling, I guess. It's the rebelling part because like they were gonna be put in jail, but like now we're being put in the cell now. There are many ways we could connect that to Kingdom.
But we won't.
And I want to include this, but basically I'm sure you guys all get what we're saying, can make the connections about attention, at ease. I don't care anymore for the ending party section. And yeah, that being said, next! Final performance of the Kingdom finale.
We made it!
I know. Is SF9 doing their new song called Sum, Believer. But Sum means breath. So, I don't know, but let's go.
What is that?
But the way that they wrote the Hasosa is really like... They also use VCR.
It's darker than what I was expecting.
Yeah, a little bit. Who did the English voiceover? I want to know.
This is a lot darker than what I was expecting.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it, but I'm just very shocked. But they're really putting their acting skills to use.
That's what I was thinking.
That was a nice transition. Oh my gosh, that makes me so nervous.
Walking on their backs?
Blindfolded,
Oh. I'm sure it's not actually completely
but still.
light versus dark. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I wonder if is it gonna be that the whole time, like
Black and white. I really like that. The way that their dance was intertwining is like the way the black and white's intertwining in the background.
oh, that's color. Oh, but the sides are really cool with the mirrors.
Cool as eyes. It's opposite from his jacket. That.
Oh, they're all back there. Oh, are they like paired off? Oh, no. They have a lot of like light reflecting off of like pieces of their outfits and then also the
Yeah.
stage.
Oh.
What? The chessboard
For
and the
jacket.
crown. Oh!
Oh, it's like
so
the yeah.
Oh, beautiful! References. There we go. Let's actually say it. What?
And all of the mirror things are the shape of the crystal. I didn't get that.
It's the high note moment. Oh. Is he like
It's gonna go back to
Oh?
breathe.
Oh.
So many turns.
And like all the shattering sort of. And just like the different hits.
Oh. Is this the ending fairy? Oh,
And
no.
they're walking back.
Oh my gosh, because in the first one they walked into the stage and now they're leaving. Okay. Okay, so obviously let's just start from the beginning. They used VCR as well, which again adds just like another dimension to the performance. And I really loved that transition at the beginning when Hyung falls backwards and then it shows him like aerial shot. That was really, really nice. And like I said in the reaction, they're really playing to their strengths because their VCR was less focused on the dance and more focused on like the storytelling. And so they're really getting to show off their acting skills, which is a strength that SF9 has. In terms of like the dance with the lyrics and the meaning of the song and the concept that they're going for, there's obvious things that I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about. There's a lot of like hands at the throat and it's hands at your own throat. I'm sort of reading it two different ways because when they're doing hands at someone else's throat, it's like someone's stopping the airflow. But then when they're doing it at their own, depending on the time of the song, sometimes it feels like symbolically your breath flow is being cut off, but other times it feels almost like when you can't breathe. The asthmatic is showing. when you can't breathe and you're like trying to get your breath, that sort of feeling. It's more of like a desperate, like I need to be able to breathe. And then obviously the masks, like the gas mask sort of things. Things I wanted to talk about more. So many turns. Wow. If you know anything about me, you know I love turning. And there were a lot of turns in it, but specifically when I made that comment during the reaction, it was during that last chorus, and it really stuck out to me because the whole group, including the dancers, were doing turns at that point. They were spotting, so it was very together. So spotting when you're turning is when you pick a spot in front of you and you keep your head there for as long as possible, and then you flip it back around as fast as possible. So it keeps you on balance and helps you stop from being dizzy, especially if you're doing multiple turns in a row like they were. But it also is a really good way when you're doing group turns to match timing, because everyone has to spot at the same time. You can like really calculate that. So it was very pleasing because it was very clean. But also another turn that really stuck out to me was Taeyang's turn. Just like in general, it's very eye-catching because it was very loose, and it was like the extended leg into the turn, into the jump kick turn, like the fan kick turn. But also he just in general has really impressive extension, which like makes sense because he's tall, so his lines are very long, but also like he's very flexible. And so that's just a very beautiful shot. But the way that I was reading the use of the turns in this was that it's sort of like being off balance, which like is sort of like getting lightheaded from a lack of oxygen. And it wasn't just because of the turns, but it was because it carried over to other parts of the dance. There were a lot of parts that weren't completely on balance, like they'd pull their leg around and sort of like throw themselves off their center. Those like looser sort of like off balance moments contrasted with the more percussive movements. It was mostly like chest isolations, and how I was reading that was like trying to get a breath when like you can't like that sort of feeling. But then there were also just a lot of scenes that really stuck out to me. So a couple examples really quick. One was Hyung and Taeyang at the beginning when they were sort of like weaving back and forth, and it really looked like what was on the ground and on the screen behind them, and that was really beautiful. But I think the most haunting part, which really fit with the chorus, was Jewel's part, especially because like the contact and everything was really haunting, but it was when the camera went down and he was like looking over you. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so creepy. It feels like someone looming over you. And then it felt like they were gonna reach out and like grab you. So it was very, very impactful. Anna's turn.
I feel like I was a little bit quieter during this reaction, and that's because like I kept trying to like read the lyrics in the corner because I hadn't looked at the lyrics beforehand. But this performance felt like one of those where like I needed to know the lyrics more to understand what was like really going on, because it wasn't like a storyline like plot sort of thing that was happening. So I did look up the lyrics during our note-taking break, and also we had seen on Twitter that like this performance was more like for the fans, like the song too. So what I'm gathering is you being their fans' fantasies, believe in me. Therefore, despite like all the hardships that I'm going through and like I'm really struggling right now, I will try to believe in myself. When I think about like the staging, like the colors too, like the black is like them, the hardships that they're overcoming, and like these dark thoughts that are in their heads, and then like the white is like the light that fantasies are trying to shine onto them. So it's like this inner conflict, inner turmoil that trying to overcome all of this. And also since it's for the fans, that's why like they're referencing their past stages a little bit, like we mentioned in the reaction. Talking about the song itself a little bit, when I first heard it, when I first listened to it, it gave me sort of like an otherworldly feeling, especially in the verses. There's like this delicate feeling. The percussion lines, none of them are like super heavy. Like obviously there is a bass line, but there's a lot of other like lighter percussion lines to it. And also the way that they're singing is more like emotional, kind of desperate, a lot of breath in it, and like desperate makes sense considering the lyrics of the song. Also I noticed there's a lot of like very techno synth lines, like the one that you hear right from the beginning, that that is the common theme throughout the rest of the song as well. That's very distinctly like techno synth, and they have other lines like that throughout the song as well. It's not futuristic, but like the sort of like otherworldly feeling, like this is not reality, I guess. That being said, I also wrote notes about Jewel's part. In this performance, I was so taken aback by it, and I was like, why am I caught off guard? I've listened to this song before, and like I didn't hear a part like this. That's because in like the actual studio recording of it that you listened to before this, he doesn't do the like two completely different tones in his rap. With the performance as well, with like the different colored contacts, and like his outfit is one of the ones that's like sort of split in the middle, black and white. It's so impactful. Also, if you're thinking about the meaning of the song too, like the first half, before I looked at the lyrics when I was just watching the performance, I was like, the first half of his rap
kind of feels like he's possessed or something. And then after reading the lyrics, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like the dark thoughts like trying to creep in and take over. And then the last thing that I had written down for notes was, like you mentioned, the addition of the outro, because the outro part isn't in the actual like studio recording of the song. They added that. You mentioned like, oh, they're walking out because their intro performance was them walking forward. So yeah, or I guess it'd be the other way for people who are watching this.
It's okay.
But yeah, that's all I have to say. So TLDR for this video is Kingdom is finally over. It's officially over. We watched the 6 finale performances today, and you can tell that like all the groups have really done their best. They have worked so hard throughout this entire show, trying a few different things, but also staying true to their colors and styles as well. And we really have enjoyed like all of the performances that we've seen. Like they've shown why they were chosen to be on the show. That being said, this is not the end of our Kingdom related videos.
Similar to what we did for Road to Kingdom, we're going to do one final video that's more of a wrap-up. We're going to share some of our favorite stages since we try to be pretty objective during these performances. Yeah, we've never said what our faves are, so we'll share some of our faves. We're also going to react to the unit performance.
Oh yeah, the vocal unit performance, the special one.
The like
with,
Voice of King or whatever
the special song that they made.
Yeah. We'll also talk about just some of the thoughts that we've had since like before Kingdom started and also as the show has aired.
We're not spilling the tea,
but like maybe sipping.
You know how it's like unpopular K-pop opinions, but they're actually popular K-pop opinions.
Is that gonna be this, but for Kingdom?
Probably.
So it'll be fun. That video is gonna come out next Friday, and then that'll be it for all of our Kingdom stuff. So if there's anything specifically you want us to address in that video, leave it in the comments below. And also go ahead and leave your thoughts on these performances in the comments below. Cheer for your faves. I know that we're all very proud of everyone on this show, but just again, please be respectful.
Also, we tried to avoid it, but we did see the final ranking
and
like who won and everything.
It was kind of unavoidable trying to pull the videos up.
Literally as soon as I clicked on Instagram or Twitter, it was like the first thing that I saw, and I was like, well, I guess I couldn't avoid it.
Also, when you go to Indet's YouTube page to like get the performances, it's like the first video.
So we know who won.
So congratulations, Team Stray Kids.
And yeah,
please like, comment.
We already said comment, subscribe,
turn on your notification bell.
For next week's wrap-up video, if you've enjoyed any of our Kingdom reactions, if you enjoyed this one, just like this whole season's journey with us. Yeah? Cool. Okay, bye!